Start trading crypto today. Sign up for our step-by-step video series to get set up with the best trading tools, start analyzing charts, enter and exit a trade properly, and most importantly, see if crypto trading is right for you. Join us at bitlabacademy.com.
Welcome to Rice TVX. On today's Rice Report, I am joined by returning guest Ammon Bundy. I will include a link down below in the video description and above for the playlist with his previous appearances. Ammon is currently running for governor of Idaho as an independent, and you can find more information at his website, votebundy.com. I invited him on so that we can get more information and updates about his campaign, Fighting for Freedom in Idaho. Before we get into it, visit ricetvx.com and sign up for my mailing list so you never miss an update or new Rice TVX content. You will also find my various social media links and more. You can also find Rice TVX on Odyssey and Library, where I have a full catalog of my videos, post up extra content, and share other appearances. And you can also find Rice TVX on BitChute. I will include links in the video description for everything I just mentioned, as well as everything shared on today's video. Okay, joining me on today's show is a returning guest. This is Ammon Bundy, and he is running for governor of Idaho. Ammon, welcome back to Rice TVX. How's it going, my friend?
Going really well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man, and I'm definitely looking forward to catching up and finding out how your campaign has been going. It's been, when I was looking at the playlist of your previous appearances, it's been about 11 months, almost a year since you've been on.
Wow.
And that, I had texted you about a few weeks ago asking you what was going on with your run. You obviously announced really early and you started campaigning really early, which I think was a really smart move. I will have links down below for your vote for Bundy or votebundy.com. So people can check that out. So if you guys are in Idaho and you're watching this, this is really important information because, again, Ammon is running for governor. I will have a link for the playlist with the previous appearances where you did talk about the third interview you did with me is when we were talking about you running for governor. So it's been quite some time. And then I'll also have a link for your YouTube channel so that people can check out your YouTube channel because you give a lot of updated information on there too. And I encourage people to go subscribe. So the first thing I would like to ask you, my friend, is how's everything going with the campaign?
Really good. The momentum is strong. We have a huge presence all over the state. And, we're making waves. So the support we're getting has certainly been tremendous, and it's increasing over this last couple months. So we've got 43 days left, I believe. 43 days left.
43 days left before the election?
Yep. November 8th.
November 8th is October. It's October 6th, so it's like 32 days away.
Or excuse me, 30. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so by the time this comes out,
30,
it should,
30,
we should be looking at about a month away by the time this comes out because I will be releasing this on Saturday. Today is Thursday the 6th. I'll release it on Saturday the 8th, ironically.
Yeah, you're right. I had an extra 10 days in there. It's 34 days, I believe it is. 34.
Well, as hard as you're going, man, I completely get being displaced with time. I mean, you're being thrown in every different direction, and you've been doing this your campaign for over a year now. So
yeah, it's been well over a year and a half. We started in April of 2021. March, to be honest with you. We started then, and we've just been going hard ever since. It's been amazing. We've had over 200 town halls across Idaho. I put over 30,000 miles on my RV traveling the state. So we've been real busy.
That's awesome, man. I mean, I'm really, I was surprised when you decided to run, but when we did that interview and you started talking about why you were running and specifics, I was supremely impressed. Even looking at your website, kind of going over your various different plans if you win, what you would like to do for Idaho. Since it's been so long and we're getting really close to the election, and let's say we have some people in Idaho listening to this, or we have some people that may be inspired to run for political office because of what you're doing. Do you mind me re-asking why you're running for governor?
Sure, sure. I'm glad you asked it that way too, because people will ask me, well, why do I want to be governor? Why do I want to run for governor? And I've been very, very clear right off the bat. I don't want to do this. This is not something I want to do. Um, it's actually one of the last things that I thought I would ever do is run for governor, or run for political office. But I see a absolute need. I see that our nation is in extreme trouble. Idaho is at the point where if we do not act right now, that we will become basically what Oregon, California, Washington, New Mexico, Colorado, Nevada have all become. They were all at one time conservative states. Remember, California, it wasn't too long ago, actually voted in Ronald Reagan, who was a very conservative governor and a very conservative president. And so these were ultra conservative states that have now turned liberal, and they're actually destroying themselves with their liberal agendas and pushing the liberal ideologies in their states. And Idaho's right on the verge to turning blue. So if we're purple right now, and I don't want that to happen because it's such a beautiful state with tremendous good people here, resources, and that's why I want my children to have a future in Idaho. And I know that future does not include implementing the leftist agenda that we've seen being pushed here in Idaho. And I think I have an opportunity to put an end to that.
I agree, man. And I definitely want to, get into how well you're doing with the campaign as far as how you're faring against your opponents here in just a few. But when you said that this isn't really something that you really want to do, when I talk to other people that are similar, like-minded, in comparison to you that are running for political office, I get kind of the same answer. It's people are kind of getting sick and tired of how the system is, and the only way that some people feel like they can actually make a change is from within. And I don't know if you know who Dean Clifford is, but he's in the law movement. He's up in Canada. He's challenged the law system in a lot of different ways, but he's actually running for mayor in his local province in British Columbia, Canada. It's a place called Clearwater. And he said the exact same thing. I was like, why are you running for mayor? And he said, at first he said for fun. But I think that was like his sarcastic answer. It was like the person doing the job is not doing a good job, and there's nobody running against this individual that will do a better job. So I've got to step up and do a better job for the people.
Well, like in Idaho here, we have this extreme, really. And what I mean by that is the people of Idaho are very conservative people. They're God-fearing. They love their neighbors. They work. They produce, and that's by far the majority of the people of Idaho. Good people, conservative principles, and yet we are being controlled by those who call themselves Republicans but push a liberal agenda. And they have controlled the Republican Party, and people have trusted and gone down to the ballots and checked R next to their names, and they keep getting in over and over. And they are pushing our state down a path that has nothing to do with conservative values, nothing. And COVID kind of woke people up. They become awakened, and they're more willing to look at things differently than they have been in the past. And they're realizing that their state has been infiltrated, and the Republican Party has been infiltrated with these globalist type leftists that are pushing this agenda of, dependency on the state, free healthcare, free food, free housing, free everything, and that comes from those who are producing, because you have to take it to give it, and also pushing the gay ideology. And they're realizing that these people are not conservatives. They're not even Republicans, which isn't the same thing, that they're basically leftist Democrats. And so they're looking for an option, and I'm giving them that option. And that's why my campaign has become so popular here in Idaho. That's why we're getting the support that we're getting, because they are now looking for the alternative, someone who is truly understands conservative, if you will, principles, uh, that God created us, that He gave us unalienable rights, that these rights are, among these rights are life, liberty, the right to control property, to pursue happiness, and then that government was created to protect those rights, not to become a tool to push an ideology that they disagree with, an ideology that ultimately will destroy us, like California, Oregon, Washington, and these other states.
Yeah, I think it's very important that we get to a position that we start giving back the power to the states and take the power away from the federal government and limit its power like it was supposed to be by our founding fathers. Just obviously we've talked about that before. It's become a monster. The federal government kind of took over our nation, and doesn't even seem like our checks and balances is in place. So I think having people like yourself running for office and doing successful and doing a good job at it will bring about the right kind of change and inspire others to step up as well. So with that being said, how are you doing? Like, is there polling to kind of get ideas of what people in the area are thinking with the vote? What kind of traction are you gaining? How do you think you're going to be doing against your opponents?
Yeah, so we're
And also, really quickly, I want to add to people that you're running as an independent.
Yeah, I'm a what they categorize as unaffiliated voter here in Idaho. I was running in the Republican Party. I pulled out right before the deadline to run as independent, because I could see how the establishment was controlling the party and was going to make sure that their guy was the only guy to win, and then eliminate all the other conservatives in the race, which they did that except for me, because I pulled out. We're doing very, very well. There's been many polls that have gone on over the last several months, anywhere from Gem State Patriot to news, to the main radio station here, to some outlining news have run polling, and all of them have had me knocking at the door or ahead. And then we go to some other liberal polls. Then they have me losing and not even knocking at the door. So we're all over the place with when it comes to polling. We're all over the place, um, and it seems that it's very difficult to be able to see exactly where we're at. The governor of Idaho will not debate me. He's refused to debate me in two statewide polls, one by Idaho Public Television, the other one by KTVB, which traditionally always run these debates. He will not debate.
Is that Brad that you're talking about?
Brad Little, yes.
So he's currently the governor running again. So you did you feel that if you would have stuck with running as a Republican, that he would have got the nomination with the primary and you would have been out at that point?
Yeah, he would have. This is their MO. They control the party, they control the communication, they control the money, they control basically what goes on in that party. And what everybody's been doing for the last 4 decades is anybody who's a conservative runs as a Republican, and then they eliminate those conservatives out of the race, so that in the end it's only the establishment rhino, the establishment good old boy that the Republican establishment selected, and the Democrat. And so then the conservative people of Idaho are going like, well, we don't really like the establishment guy, but we certainly don't want the liberal Democrat. So we have to vote for the establishment guy, because that's all the option we have. Well, that's why I pulled out. And now I'm a third option that's truly getting a tremendous amount of support from the Republican base, because most Republicans are conservative, and they see that Brad Little, what he's doing and how he's leading Idaho right down this path of becoming just like Washington. I mean, his buddies are Inslee. They're Governor Brown, Governor Inslee, Governor Newsom. These are his buddies who he associates with in the Western Governors Association. The Governor Cox of Utah. These are all like liberal people that are pushing liberal agendas, and Governor Little is holding hands with them and bringing Idaho right along. That's their agenda. And I'm giving the people an option here, an option to truly elect a governor in that is for the people, that believes that the principles espoused in the Declaration of Independence and in the Constitution are what we should put forth, and truly going to protect the people against the Biden administration and this takeover from Washington, D.C. that we're seeing.
Great answer, man. Great answer. And it's crazy to even think that you would have, I guess I would look at it as like a wolf in sheep's clothing, someone to pretend like there's something they're not. And that's kind of something that's happened within the entirety of the Libertarian Party, is it's been infiltrated by people that claim to be libertarian, but yet they're more so Democrats or Republicans just trying to identify as such so they can cause division. And the politics is a nasty game. So how much is your past, which I appreciate and commend you for, but how much is your past coming up in regards to what your opponents are saying about you, Mr. Ammon Bundy?
A lot. It's coming up quite a bit, and it's been very beneficial to me. Because, right now, we've got the Biden administration that's completely out of control. We know Biden's not in control. He's off in his own little world, wandering around in circles. And somebody else is leading and controlling the Biden administration. And they're, they're pushing all kinds of crazy things. And they pushed it down into the states, and these governors have grabbed a hold of it, and they're pushing it as well. And the people more than ever are looking for someone who is going to use the state, use the power of government to protect them like it was designed. And so, my past comes up all of the time that I have stood for with my father at his ranch to preserve his rights, that I stood for the Hammonds, preserved his rights. I was even willing to go to jail, that I went through 2 major federal trials, beat them. They spent $100 million trying to prosecute my family. We beat them twice. That comes up. Look, that President Trump only pardoned 17 people, and 3 of those people I advocated for. These are the things that are surfacing, that I stood for baby Cyrus, that I stood for this family, and not only stood, but won. And so they're seeing this and saying, hey, look, we need someone that's going to actually win, and someone who's actually going to stand, and they can depend that I'm going to do that. And so for those who are truly looking for something other than someone talking out the side of their mouth, like most politicians do, my history and my past has only been beneficial to me in this campaign.
Yeah, for people that can recognize real, because obviously, the media and the internet is trying to put a spin on putting a negative connotation as to what your actions resulted in. And again, before I even said it, I appreciate everything that you've done, and the examples that you're setting for other people. I'm not even going to say what Wikipedia says here, because I'm not sure if it would even trigger the algorithm. Speaking of that, are you having any problems getting your message out on your YouTube channel? Are you getting any strikes, any sort of issues with YouTube?
Oh yeah, I'm getting striked and warned, but then also we're seeing, videos that would normally get, 200, 300,000, 500,000, we're getting 100,000, or the algorithms have been, changed. I'm being censored, and we realized that was going to happen. We're not naive to that. We've got about 90,000 people on our subscriber list with our emails, so we're able to reach out that way and spread the message that way. We also are going to be, we are putting heavy effort into just starting into paid ads. And we're going to saturate the market here in the next 30 days with paid ads. And so, yeah, it's the nature of the cancel culture. We've got these people who run these large platforms, and they don't like this message because they're full of basically socialists, and they don't want a message to go out about what our true rights are, what the true purpose of government is, that that our rights are given to us by God and not by government. These are things that they don't want going out. They don't want people believing this. They don't want this message to be popular. Uh, and so they're going to suppress it. And we have to expect that. We have to counter that and create other ways to get the message out.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I'm dealing with a lot of censorship. I'll talk with you too privately and send you some information about, if you haven't already done it, make sure you're using Odyssey and Rumble. You could transfer all your videos automatically from YouTube to those platforms, and that way you have a backup of your stuff, because depending on how midterm elections go, we could be dealing with a lot more censorship in the future.
Yeah.
And that's again one of the reasons why I do appreciate what you do. And if people check out your YouTube channel, they'll be able to see some of the things that you mentioned of people that you help out, like the baby Cyrus situation. I know you covered that on your YouTube channel as well. And I
Yeah.
appreciate you being cool with the choice of words that you're using in the interview, because obviously I want to make sure that we're able to get this message out.
Yeah. No, I understand that. And it's just the world we live in. And unfortunately, the alternative platforms are not popular enough yet. They're growing, they're becoming more popular, and we need to support them. But until they get that way, we have to also use these others. And people say all the time, well, why are you on this platform, or why are you on that platform? They censor, they do all that. And I just shoot back at them and say, look, a great example, if you go to the Bible and you look at when the Pharisees and the Sadducees were coming down on the Lord Jesus Christ, saying, why are you spending this time with sinners? He said, because the whole need no physician. Well, everybody that understands what's going on is hanging out in like Rumble and all these other platforms, and we could just be this really strong echo chamber. But we've got to reach out, and we've got to help people understand what's going on outside these platforms and bring them in, because we need them and we want them, and we don't want them to be out there in this wilderness of deception without any truth.
Yeah.
And so let's battle on YouTube, let's battle on Twitter, let's battle on Instagram, let's battle here, let's battle on these platforms, and let's win this battle. And then let's always back ourselves up by driving people to these other, reminding them and get them to hang out there as well, so that when they do censor us, we're not isolated.
No, you said it really well. I mean, I'm using YouTube and being careful with what I'm doing on YouTube to reach people, so that I'm not stuck in an echo chamber, like you mentioned. And I really agree with what you said. Up until recently, I feel that Rumble is now starting to actually gain that traction. Russell Brand was somebody on YouTube that got taken. His channel didn't get taken down, but he got a strike. And because of that, and having a video removed in 7-day probation period, he made some deal with Rumble. They're public, and I know that they've got the money to be able to try to get different people over there, so it's not an echo chamber. And if people don't know what an echo chamber is, take time and do some research and just look it up, look up the definition, because it's important that we're able to reach new people. And an echo chamber is just what it sounds like. You're just talking to people that are already familiar with the messages that you're trying to spread. So,
yeah. And that, these platforms that are censoring people are, they're actually cutting their own throats. And that's just what they're doing. But it takes time because they have so much influence and so many people. But when and we've seen this all over when it comes to, your normal, news outlets. Well, when they don't report truthfully, or when they don't report fairly, when they pick a side and they, censor and all that, then they lose. Then people go somewhere else for truth. They go somewhere else. They start to look for somewhere else for truth, and they recognize that the truth is not necessarily going to be reliable on that platform, and they lose power, they lose influence, they lose viewers and all of that. But it takes time. And so, I would, warn YouTube, warn Facebook, warn, these platforms that not to censor, not to stop free speech, because you're going to destroy yourselves by doing it. Yeah, it might take time because you're a pretty big platform, but it will happen. People will stop, and it is happening. Just like,
Yeah.
I mean, there's major names that have left YouTube and gone over because they're being censored. And any minute they get to completely stop using YouTube, they will stop using it when they get a chance, as Rumble and these other platforms grow.
Yeah, no, YouTube will eventually become a MySpace, basically, to what Facebook became, and kind of made it non-relevant anymore.
Yep.
And I think that if YouTube continues down this path of censoring people and not allowing for free speech, the more that happens, the more I think people are going to start looking at those other platforms. So I'm really appreciative of what these other platforms are offering. Now, one thing I wanted to ask about your campaign, because when we talked last time and I looked at your Keep Idaho plan, it was, I mean, it was a great plan, but I could see that a lot of things have changed. And this is, I'm really impressed by all the different points that you have in regards to eliminating different type of taxes, the economic growth plan, the exalting of justice, the social prosperity, the maximizing government efficiency, which also adds a lot of pro cryptocurrency and blockchain elements. Is there anything that you want to highlight or share from your Keep Idaho plan?
Well, so the plan hasn't changed. We've just got it presented better with more content in it and all of that. So our plan really hasn't changed because we developed this plan over a 7-year period. So it really hasn't changed. But, elimination of property taxes, the property values here in Idaho that home values have gone crazy, and they're assessing property tax based upon them. And people every day here in Idaho are losing their homes to the state because they can't pay their property tax, even when they've got them paid off. Or it doesn't matter. They might have a mortgage, but they just can't afford their homes because of the property tax. So we're going to eliminate that, replace it with a consumption tax at the point of sale, just like we do with everything else that we buy. You pay a sales tax up front, and it's done. We'll make it so that if you can't pay the sales tax up front, it could be rolled into the mortgage, but the state is then out of it. They get their funds. That's it, and it pays for the legitimate purposes of the government, and makes it so that we don't lose our homes to the state. Eliminating other taxes that have been eliminated in other states. Income tax. There's no reason why we can't generate a revenue off of our sales tax, especially if we free up our lands here in Idaho. 61% of our land is being controlled by the federal government in Idaho. 61%. Yes, that is correct. I said 61%. And 72% of our subsurface mineral rights, meaning our oils, our gases, our gold, our silver, our uranium, our cobalt, is all being controlled by the federal government, and the federal government is making the profit on it. And the people of Idaho can't even pay their own bills. For 38 years, we've had to go back to the federal government just to pay our own bills, and it's because they're controlling our land and they're controlling our resources. And it is time to get that back into the people's hands, the people of Idaho, where it belongs, and where it is constitutional. I could go on and on. Restoring the rule of law, bringing back the rule of law in Idaho. I mean, and you know this, but everywhere, the law is not even the law. The law now is basically that when you disobey what the government officials say, then they arrest you and they charge you, and then they make a bunch of money off of it. Whether they put you in jail or you're in court or whatever, they all make money on it. All the bureaucrats make money on it. And there is no victim. And then what happens when we have crimes such as theft? You know what the policing agencies are telling us? Literally here in Gem County, Little Gem County, the sheriff's department says, well, we don't do that anymore. And that's what we're seeing. So you have no remedy. They're like, well, if you want to open a civil suit against somebody, you can do that. That's the type of thing that we're seeing all over, where they're not even prosecuting or suppressing crime when there's a victim. They're only doing it when you disobey the government before as a profit source for the bureaucrats. So it's time that we bring back the rule of law. It's time that we actually protect ourselves with the law from theft, from rape, from assault, from murder. And how do we do that? We find the perpetrator and we punish them according to the law, and including that perpetrator has to restore the damages back to the victim. I believe so. I mean, I could go on and on.
I mean, what you just said,
Idaho plan.
It's our good old legal system. I mean, there is a difference between law and legal, and our
Right.
system has just become absolutely corrupt when it comes to that level. Also, when you were talking, it made me think about just in general, what you were saying is just a hijacking of our nation. And it's really sad to think about all the things that had transpired from our founding fathers to where we are today and what we need to do to correct that. So for people that are in Idaho and can get involved in helping you, because we're going to be down to roughly, again, a month, 30 days ish by the time this comes out. So what would you, if somebody wants to help out with the campaign and get involved, how can people do that?
So votebundy.com is the best place to go. And you'll see there right underneath the kind of the main banner there, it says important topics. And you click on that, it literally breaks down all the topics I've talked about. And you can go and see what I've said, whether it's an interview or an article or, video. You can click on that, and each one of those topics and each one of those sub categories has links to it, or the whole page has a link to it. And you can send this out to your friends and say, hey, look what this guy is saying. He's right on. Look what's happening. Look what's going on. You can send this out to people by page or by item, all linked. So you can, put it on you can text it, you can email it, you can post it on your social media. This is the type of tool that we have here. I need you to battle. I need people in Idaho to battle for me so that your friends don't think that I'm the person that Google or Wikipedia is saying that I am. It's just a flat out lie to tarnish support my name so people won't support me. Battle out there. Then get a yard sign, put it in your front yard, get a t-shirt, wear it, and have those conversations with people. Battle for me out there, because what we're doing is we're winning. And it's not hard, because people just go to the information and they see that, that I'm right on, that the things that I'm saying are true, that my solutions are right on, and they get a vision for that. And then they become very passionate about supporting me. So don't worry about your neighbor who doesn't like me. Just go give them some information. And we're finding that all of a sudden they'll change their mind. And then they'll become very active in supporting me. So those yard signs, put a bumper sticker up, have the conversations with your neighbors, forward this information to all your contacts, and then go to that little donate button. I don't even like to call it a donate, because it's a contribution, but go and contribute to my campaign, because, we're spending, hundreds of thousands of dollars of getting this message out all over Idaho, and we need to saturate the voters here in Idaho over these next 30 days. Costs a lot of money. We've got a good digital marketing plan that we're pushing. That's going to cost a couple $100,000. We want to get billboards. We've saturated the state with signs, as the people of Idaho know, and we also would like to get on TV if we can, and that all takes money.
Yeah.
So if you like this message, if you understand what's going on in Idaho and the danger that we're in, then contribute, do those things, and know that we're knocking on the door right here. We are running a solid campaign that we have a real opportunity and a chance here of winning. And so we need your help. We need your help.
Well, dude, man, I will say, like, honestly, just looking at the Keep Idaho plan and how well organized you have that as far as different ways that people can download it for people that are visual learners or want to have a printed copy. I like that you have that. Even on the main webpage where you're showing me to click on, this is extremely impressive, man. Just a list of different topics. And I pulled up a few of those. I'm a big fan of People's Rights, so I did pull that up, and People's Rights Network. So people can click on each one of these, and it gives them more detailed information. I mean, I didn't even know about this until you said to click on it. I've checked the website out, but didn't click on that link, and I'm really impressed with what you got going on with your entire team. It's
if you go back to the Keep Idaho plan there, go to my plan up on top, and you click on any one of those, it's a drop down. If you click on any of the items,
these
a little bit, actually click on one of the topics there, one of the topics, and then it gives you full details and a link where you can send that to your friends. So when they click on that link, it brings them right to this. So whether I'm talking about property tax, whether I'm talking about taking back Idaho's lands, you can click and they can read what my plan actually is directly from my website. And it's just, it's phenomenal what my team has put together here. And I hope that people will benefit from it and really see, because I've taken a completely different strategy when it comes to my campaign. Usually candidates want to say as little as possible, so people can't say they don't like that candidate for this reason or that reason. And I have taken the exact opposite strategy, which is I want people to have as much material so that they know exactly where I stand. And there might be one or two things that they disagree with me on, and that's fine. We could talk about that, but they will be able to see what I'm proposing here and see the benefit. And also they may be convinced that, that they were wrong on an item, or they didn't quite understand a topic. And now with this material and with what I've said, they can make a true choice of who they want to be in office.
So I'm when you mentioned clicking on this and a drop down coming down, I mean, and then a shareable direct link. I'm just supremely impressed with the website and the team. It's great information, and I definitely encourage people to share this, especially if you know people that are in Idaho. Now, hopefully everything's going to go well with you and you win. And if you win, I would love to bring you back on as Governor Bundy for sure, 100%. And I want to be respectful of your time because I know you got a busy day going on today, as usual with the campaign. So before we wrap up, I'm going to have links down below for everything we talked about. I do encourage people to subscribe to your YouTube channel and go to votebundy.com and share with other people. Do you have any final thoughts or anything that you would like to add before we do wrap up today, Ammon?
Well, I will say, I know you have a national audience, and I will say that, Idaho has probably the greatest chance in setting some of these things wrong, many of these things wrong, than any other state. And so any support that you give me, any money, any contributions, that's going to go further in Idaho than anywhere else, because we truly have a chance to get a state government doing what it's supposed to be doing, and then becoming that check and balance to the federal government. And what will happen is that other states will follow, because they'll say, look what Idaho's doing. Look at their prosperity. Look at their economics. Look at the freedom they have, and they will duplicate it. They will duplicate it, but it's going to take one to do that. And Idaho has the best chance of doing that because of the people of Idaho, and because of the chance that we have of getting control of the Idaho government. And so we're asking for national support, because we need to respark this flame of liberty. We need to have that example of the freedom of the this hill on the shining light on a hill. That's what we need, so that other states and other countries will start to follow this path of freedom. It wasn't very long ago, even in the the 70s and 80s, when countries were adopting our Constitution all over the world. We're adopting our Constitution, and now we're seeing that they're completely following America in this totalitarianism, bureaucratic control that is opposite from what our Constitution espouses, and even their constitutions now. And we need to respark this freedom so that we don't end up in a situation that we saw in periods of time like the Dark Ages. We do not want to go into that. We do not want to pass that on to our children. And I believe we have the greatest opportunity to turn that around in Idaho than anywhere else.
Well, I wish you the best, man. I'm definitely going to be staying on top of what's happening. And again, if you win, I'm definitely want to get you back on so we could talk about what you're going to be doing as governor. And I do want to get you on after the election, as we talked about, trying to do a joint conversation with you and John Bush from Freedom Cells and try to figure out some sort of working relationship, symbiotic, complementary, working together as platforms to try to bring more people together, which in a way, building counter economics and parallel societies, ways for us to be able to create commerce for ourselves in case the government does go crazy. And one thing I did mean to ask you, and we don't have to go into like a long answer with this because I know you're kind of tight on time. I've been hearing a lot of talk and rhetoric about the potentiality of midterm elections not going down as planned. You running for governor might have more insight to this. Do you think everything's going to go down as normal, or do you think that there could be some issues that you're hearing about?
I don't see any on a state level here in Idaho any indication that there's going to be any interruptions.
Okay.
I mean, we have 30 plus a little over 30 days left, and a lot can happen in that period of time. But I don't see any indications of that. As far as the Secretary of State or anything happening on a state level when it comes to our elections. Of course, there's that concern of election integrity, and we're doing all we can to proactively combat that. That's always a problem, an issue, and a concern, especially after 2020. So there's that, but not anything out in the open that I've been able to see.
Okay. No, I appreciate you sharing that. And I mean, the reason I bring it up is there's just been a lot of talk about a red wave, Republicans having a better chance of gaining more seats in Senate and in the Congress, and shifting the power potentially. And because of that, and because of what you mentioned with the integrity issue, there may be individuals that are at voting poll stations to try to make sure that nothing is going down like it's not supposed to, which could be looked at as a way of bullying. And that's the reason I was asking. I know Idaho's kind of it's different than North Carolina. I'm not saying this is happening here. It's just some rhetoric that I'm hearing people theorize about. So I just want to get your insight.
Well, one thing that's really, really interesting is that my opponents, when it comes to the Republican incumbent and the Democrats, are being almost absolutely silent. And it's really, really, it's really eerie what's happening. because they're being so quiet. And we find that really, even though we're, hard hitting, we're out there really beating the streets, and we've got a ton of support, ton of momentum. They're unwilling to debate. They're not really running any type of campaign ads. They're not really doing that, and that's either one or two reasons. They either think that it's just in the bag, or they're terrified that they're going to bring more attention to me and my campaign. And it's either one or the other, because it has been very, very interesting of how inactive they have been in a statewide governor's campaign.
That's interesting. See, I don't watch cable or your normal mainstream television outlets, so I'm not seeing what you would see unless those people are running ads on YouTube. That's, generally I'm not seeing it because I don't watch like your NBC and things like that. So,
did you watch our last video, the groomers video?
I did not. Is that the last video on your YouTube channel?
Yeah, it's on the YouTube channel. It's not the last one, but it's also on the homepage of votebundy.com. Yeah, you should watch that. These are the type of videos that we're pushing out. And it's
which one is it?
It's the one there with the cartoon. He's looking at a picture.
Okay, right here. Our children are being groomed.
You go to votebundy.com. Go there. You'll see it. It's go to the homepage. Yeah, it's right there. It's the pink one there. It says groomers.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a hard hitting one. The one just under it's a hard hitting one. We've got many more coming out, and we hope to, just keep poking the bear so they'll come out of his hibernation. But so far, I think strategy wise, they're actually very wise, because Governor Little, locked us down, did all those things. And now he's saying recently that he didn't lock us down. And so a debate would just be disastrous for him, because there's so much information, so many articles. He's dug himself such a hole that I think the best strategy they have is just not responding and not doing anything, and hoping that this, archaic support that they have by controlling the Republican Party works one more time in Idaho and allows them to return to power.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I'm definitely gonna be paying attention to what happens, and if there's any absolute crazy changes, let me know. If you want to come back on the show between now and the election on November the 8th, you always have an open invitation. So if you need to get a message out, feel free to reach out to me in regards to that. If you can bear with me 1 second, I'm just going to go ahead and do the wrap up real quick. So ladies and gentlemen, I do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. I do hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you smash that like button and definitely share with other people. Hopefully this message will inspire others to run for political office and make some kind of impact and change in your local area, because that's the best way that we can make change on a national level, is to start where we live locally and build this thing up from the bottom up versus where we are, which is top down. So make sure you subscribe over at Ammon Bundy's YouTube channel. I would also encourage you to check out votebundy.com. Make sure you subscribe here, hit the like button, and I will leave you with this. I encourage you to be a blessing to others. I encourage you to treat people how you want to be treated. Be the glitch you want to see in the matrix. Be the change you want to see in the world. Practice change.